Good morning. I'm finishing up 2 weeks here in Athens, New York, working on this edition for this awesome client. He's a 71-year-old guy who's super fit, and 2 years ago he was surfing Himalayas in Hawaii, big wave surfing. 69 years old at the time. And he's been assisting me on this project when he's here, and he's just a great guy. It's been a fun project, but it's kind of like the job I did in Texas a few years ago. I got here and nothing had been done correctly, and what was done, I mean, it was just kind of a mess. There was a lot of kind of sorting out, and it made everything I had to do more difficult than it needed to be. But also, I had to do a bunch of stuff I didn't anticipate doing. I thought I was going to come here and just do carpentry, and it's fine. I'm going to get into the ceiling and explain something, because there's a funny thing that happened this week. And it's one of those things that happens sometimes with clients, because there's expectations. And you have to be careful with your expectations when you're talking, because you begin in this prediction thing. Oh, this will be done by this time, or I got this done so much today, so by the end of the day I'll have this done. And inevitably, as soon as you do that, the universe throws a wrench in there, and then it slows you down. And you add another half day or a day to this or whatever. And that's what happened with this ceiling, because it was really funny. We went out together, we got this tongue and groove. Went to this joint, there's probably 150 boards there. We needed 40. I hand selected. I looked at every single board they had in the joint, picked the 40 best boards they had, and a lot of them were far from perfect. None of them were perfect. And we got them back, and you could see the chatter marks in it and some tear out and whatnot, and he really wanted to sand this stuff down. We didn't have, we had some hand sanding machines, but it wasn't working. He was going to do that, and after doing that for a couple hours, it really beat him up. Even though he's in great shape, it's a different type of work. Working hard for a living is different than working out. Working hard all day is different than surfing for a few hours. It's a different thing. And so last weekend, I had the thought, a drum sander would do the trick. And I went on the local Craigslist, found one that had just been listed the day before. Got it for a lot less than what he was advertising it for. It was a good deal, and it worked. But it was 2 days with a drum sander to get these things flat and smooth. And then it was another day of hand tuning and getting a sanding sealer on. And then it was another day of getting that smooth. It was 400 to get one coat of finish on. So it was 4 days of work right there. And then they came back, they came up that night, and in my mind I was thinking, they're probably not happy. I mean, they spent 4 days with me, the ceiling's not up yet. They really wanted to see this ceiling up. And that was the first thing I brought up to him the next morning. He's like, oh, you're right, we're losing. I said, hey, it's the way it works out. We talked about it, everything was cool. 5th day, got all the tongue and groove up. 6th day, got the ridge done. I'm going to show this to you in a minute, because it came out great. And last night we were talking, and we did the math, cost of the material plus the week. And it was, they probably spent close to $3,400 or so, somewhere in that range, for this ceiling. The thing is, if you would have hired a contractor to come in with a couple of guys to do the ceiling and put finish on it and everything else, you would have spent that much money, if not more, and it wouldn't have been as good. So I'm going to show you this, and we'll talk about a few other things here too. And the other thing I want to say is, I made all these other things, predictions. I was going to work out and do this on the trip, and I've been here 2 weeks. All I have done is work, eat, sleep. And I've been putting 9 and 10 hour days in. One day I ran around New York and did some burpees. I've been eating ice cream, pie, and drinking beer every single day. So the beach body I wanted to have in Seaside when I get down there is not going to be there. Oh. But it was the only way I could make myself feel good at the end of the day after working my ass off. So here's the ceiling. I'm going to talk to you about this. So with one coat of finish, when you look at it when it's down and you sight down the boards, you can see some imperfection in the finish. But when it's up, you can't see anything. This is pretty much done. They really don't have to do anything else. I got a nice tight fit to the drywall. Nice straight line. There's a tiny little gap here or there. We're going to take care of that because the drywall's not even done yet. The way I did this ridge, which came out perfectly, was there was a ridge beam that was about 3 3/4 of an inch wide, and I skinned either side of it with a 2x that I ripped down, and it was the way that the beadboard hits. I don't know if I can do this. Let's see if I can get up here on the step ladder while I'm doing this, trying not to kill myself. Try to get you a little bit of a closer view. So if you look, the beadboard ends at that vertical 2x that was ripped down. Perfect. It just hits the bead. I did that on both sides. Pulling that off meant one side was actually closer to the ridge than the other. So I had to shim out the 2x on the other side all the way down. And there was, I forget how many shims. I think there was 8 shims. And they went from 1/2 inch down to 1/4 inch. So I had, 3/8, I had 7/16. On this piece here, at the end, there was 2 that were a 1/4 inch shim, an 1/8 inch shim, and then that was it. The board on the bottom that you're looking at with the hole in it, that is perfect, was a 1x12 we purchased, and it had a knot on one edge, so I ripped it off, and that gave me a board that was 10 1/4 inches wide. And instead of just doing a square edge, I chamfered the edge up on both sides. And now you've got this real nice detail. It's a good idea. A lot of guys will just go to the ridge, they'll put some sort of flat cap on there, and it's over. And I wanted to do something nice. Whenever you create a shadow line, like we did here, it just makes everything look better. It makes things more interesting. There's going to be a lot more in here. We've got these valances in here. We're going to put beadboard up underneath that side. We're going to do the same thing here, beadboard under here. We were talking about lighting, and I came up with the idea. The columns were his idea. This whole ceiling was my idea as far as they wanted the ceiling to be wood, but the ridge was mine. And I'm real happy that he trusted me and allowed me to go with it. The columns he saw in his mind, and I made that happen. They're not all the way to the floor because the floor is going to get foam insulation and then 3 inches of concrete poured. It's another story. But as we were talking about lights in here, I said, well, we got these columns. So we're going to run power Romex, and we'll probably put some sort of lighting right in the column. Seems like it'll make sense. And then I'm about to go back down to the shore for a week. And then I'll be back up here for a couple weeks. And then when I come back up here, whoopsie, I'm so professional. The next week, when I come back up, I'll be back up here like the 17th. Tomorrow will be the 9th. I'll go down the shore, and then I'll come back up here for a couple weeks. We'll get the sills in, get the windows trimmed out, maybe do the floor thing, hopefully get the columns built down, get the corner beat on, and this room will start coming together. But probably another 2 weeks up here. Now, these 2 weeks I was here, there was so much work added to this project with framing and that I just didn't anticipate. When I come back up, it's going to be more normal days, trim days, that sort of thing. So I want to investigate the area. I got some tips on some 4-wheel drive trails, going out to see waterfalls and that sort of thing with the van, so that'll all happen. We'll see if that happens. I want to get on the beach while I'm down at the shore too. So 2 more weeks up here, and then I'll be in at the shore for all of September, or the rest of it. And then I have some friends in Manhattan that want me to do a Murphy bed for them. They're on West 46th Street, about a half a block from the park. So we'll see, because New York City right now is nuts with the rules and regulations and all that other garbage. Anyhow, this is the update. This is where I'm at. This is the addition. So this is the tongue and groove pine ceiling, which, come on, man, that's badass. Is that not badass? It's friggin' badass. Have a good day. Be good to each other. Until next time.